What's going on, guys? Keegan here from Punishers Paintball. I'm here today once again with media guy Doug. We are doing a comparison between the Push Unite and the Die i5. Sweet.
If you guys like this video, be sure to drop a comment below. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll catch you after the intro.
Alright guys, so let's start off with packaging. How does the mask come? What do you expect to get when you order an i5, Doug?
Okay, well, it's gonna come, first of all, in this box. It does enough of a good job keeping it protected. It's aesthetically pleasing, as always is the theme with dye products, but open her up here. There is some foam here kind of protecting the lens. Of course, you get your mask. We'll address this bad boy later. Get him out here. Bottom of the mask.
Really struggling with this dye packaging.
Yeah, I know. So what dye likes to include your warranty. I never have actually filled one of these out. I actually am a previous owner of an i5. I used one for a couple of years from a previous sponsorship. It actually makes this video interesting because I used this for a few years. Keegan was using the Push all this past season, so this will be actually a pretty good conversation, I think, as we get into things. But you get your mask bag that does cinch shut, so you can keep it all nice and protected. I actually think this is pretty nice. It's pretty good thickness, and it has some microfiber in there as well. Yeah, we'll get to that. You always get decal from dye.
Decal? That's just a sticker.
You get an instruction manual, which this says i4, interestingly enough, but probably has to do with the lens changing, which it is the same lens in the i4 and the i5, but lens changing is a little different between each one, so I'm not sure why they're including an i4.
This is why.
Oh, look at that. So they threw this in the box, but on the back of the mask itself is your i5 specific manual with another decal.
I would like to say most i5s probably won't have an i4 manual in them. Side note.
Not sure where that really came from, but
I don't know.
that's what you get when you open the box, right? So here's your foam protecting. Underneath this little cardboard platform that the mask sits on, doesn't look like there's too much in there. There's a little bit of plastic in here, probably also covering something else up. But that's about it for the box and packaging itself. The colorway on this bad boy was the Storm. It's a little black and blue action. And then you have the mask itself. Keegan, what do you get with the Push?
Alright, Push Unite, first off on the top of the case, not bag, molded case. You kind of just have a description of the Push, how it came about, everything like that. Kind of cool. I don't think I ever read it. Most of the time on the back you'll see here, it'll tell you your color. This is the Sandana Olive edition. Real nice color, so let's break it open in this molded case.
Keegan doesn't even know what the color actually is because he's colorblind.
I can tell this one. This one's olive.
That's one of the colors.
Yes. The lens is HD.
HD, but what, is it orange or yellow?
Amber.
Very good, Keegan. Very good.
Got your real nice Push. We'll set that aside for now. And then you have this little pouch on the inside of your molded case.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know they had that in there.
Yeah, all of them do. You got your one tool. This is for adjusting the nose piece, which is amazing. We'll get to that later. And then they include a real nice Push Unite microfiber. This is thinner. If you're in a tournament or something like that, it might be nice to actually put this in your pocket. I should probably think about that, putting one of these in my pocket for those rainy days, stuff like that.
Cheetah rag.
Yeah, there's your Push. Case, molded case. That's all I gotta say. Video's done. Push wins.
What you're saying is you like mold.
I like fitted, like this case is fitted. It's a super nice fitted case with zippers. It's very protective, as well as it's got like a microfiber material on the inside that is going to protect your case or your goggle system, your lens, everything like that, and it just fits it perfect because it's made specifically for the Push. Like if you try to fit the i5 in there, you can't, because the ratchet on the back, which we'll get to later. And so it's specifically made for the Push. It's super nice. I love it. And it's small. It's not like some of the other cases,
That do
like
take
the
up a lot of
HK and
volume
the
in your
Assault,
bag,
that
I'll give you
take
that.
up like huge amounts of space, and it's
Give
actually
this
going to protect it.
Good whack, 'cause it actually will hurt your hand.
Yeah.
It'll punch back.
It's a hard case, and something like this where it's soft, it doesn't have a lot of density to it, it's probably not going to protect your goggle system all that well. It's more there as a carrying bag, something with ventilation that is going to just
I
help
will
it
say,
breathe.
I do think that the microfiber inside does a good job with like keeping your lens from getting scratched up, but
Yeah.
I think that without the cover of the hard case, if something hit it hard enough, if you dropped it on rocks or something, you might still see some damage to your lens. But let's get into features of the mask. Do you want to, let's start with first like overall construction.
There you go.
Bye-bye. So like the rubber, how this all feels, let's go with that. So on the dye mask, I would say it's pretty stiff. It's not a hard mask or rubber by any means, but there are definitely some softer options out there. For me, that's not really the end of the world. I mean, honestly, I would kind of prefer it because then you're not getting shot in the face. It's kind of cool. What about the feel of the push?
The push, real nice construction. It's a lot more malleable than the i5.
A little softer.
It's not quite as malleable as like a JT Pro Flex. However, the Flex version of the mask, where it's a different plastic, is closer to a JT Pro Flex
It's pretty
in
bendy.
the material and how malleable it is. But other than that, it feels very solid. It's well made, and it's constructed very well in how you take it apart and everything like that.
So as far as breathability, I'm looking at the ventilation here on mine, and I'll look at the ventilation on yours as well. Both are good, but honestly, I'm actually going to give the ventilation to the i5. I think there are just more holes and they are bigger. There's a good amount of holes right in front for the push, but they just, I don't know, it's only right in front. There's a lot more places that air is venting as it's
It isn't
leaving your
just in
face.
front. It's actually, you have all this stuff on the sides.
Yeah, those are little.
They're little, but they work. They also have the nose piece that has ventilation. And personally, wearing these for an entire season, I never had any issues with ventilation. I never, except when I completely wore myself out, came off winded and felt like I couldn't breathe, felt like I couldn't speak.
You're never going to avoid that completely with paintball mask, though. That is just, unless you want to go old school, like with the JTs and take off the bottom, I mean, go for it, but that's play at your own risk. Breathability, I don't think we're going to agree on that. I'm still going to give it to the i5, but I know Keegan didn't really have any problems with his push, and that's okay by me. I think both are good options as far as breathability goes, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would also say I actually have asthma, and have no issues breathing in this mask or anything like that.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see, what next?
Next, let's go to...
Let's go to the big selling factor that people like of the i5, the strap.
The ratchet. So the way this bad boy works, I'm going to twist what would be lefty-loosey towards you guys, and that opens it all the way here. So someone with a real big nugget, this is going to fit way back on you. See how it's got these plastic little things in here that there's teeth that turn, and then they start to grab onto that and they cinch in closer as you're trying to get it tighter to your head. And the more clicks you hear, the further you go, the tighter it's going to get to your head. Now, in my experience, I do not have the biggest head. I actually never felt like I could really get my i5 as tight to my head as the Contour 2 that I currently use. So, but I haven't heard many other people have that complaint. So for me, I would say that in general, this is a popular thing for the market. People like how easy that is as opposed to fighting with the two straps. But Keegan, I want to hear you weigh in on the strap for the push and this guy.
I'll start with the i5. Personally, not a fan. I've got a small head. I can tighten it as much as I want to where it will not tighten anymore, and the mask can fall off my head. Then there's the factor of the actual pad on it. It's not like the Pro Pad for the Contour or anything like that.
No. I have seen this actually tear off of people's masks before.
But
it bends pretty
the
easy.
actual pad doesn't fit me. Like, it just feels terrible. It feels super bulky on the back of your head. I don't like the way it looks. And I have heard problems where it has broken the entire ratchet system.
Yep.
Which is a pretty hard no for me.
Yeah, there was definitely I think actually mine is slightly broken because there was a day that I was just trying to get my mask off quick. I was mad about something, and I heard a crank as I pulled on it, and ever since then, even though it already never got fully tight enough to my head, it even less so when I've worn it again since. Not a huge fan of the ratchet.
On the push, you just have a standard strap. It is specific to the push, so you can't go grab like a strap you find online and throw it on here because it has certain clips and stuff like that. You can probably have one custom made, but it's just a basic strap. This one's actually a Sandana strap because it's a Sandana edition push. These straps are not the biggest straps, but they're also not super skinny, and they've got real good gripping rubber on the inside of them, so they feel good. I never had an issue with mine. The one thing I will say is I have the problem with every single mask. I have yet to figure out a mask that doesn't do it on me, is the fact that with how small my head is, I always have this tightened as much as it can go, and it'll start to loosen on me because it's tightened too much. I just fixed that by bobby pinning it in place. So from then, I didn't have any issues. If you had a bigger head, wouldn't be an issue. I've just got one really small head.
He's got a tiny nugget. So there's straps covered for you. Why don't let's go like this direction. Talk about foam next on the inside of these bad boys.
Foam, honestly, kind of a toss-up between the two. They're very similar. It's both the 3-layer foam that we've talked about before. It's kind of got the nice kind of microfiber material on the outside of it that's a very thin layer. And then you have the 2 other layers, a softer foam and then a harder foam on the inside of it. Feels very good on both of them. Yeah. I don't think you can really give it to either one.
It was comfortable. That's the thing. This dye mask is comfortable to wear. I never had an issue like with comfort when wearing it. I didn't feel like I was getting destroyed by the foam.
The only thing that, actually both of them have it. The nose cutout, where they cut out a bit of the foam so that it's not kind of cinching up on your nose and kind of making it so that it's harder to breathe. They both have it, so when it comes to foam, toss up between the two.
So obviously in the current NXL and tournament paintball format, you have to have a chin strap on your mask. Both come fully outfitted with one. The Dye i5 follows more of the classic, like just this hook and strap. Here, there it is, tied up under this guy. So it's this boy here. Click it in, you're done. Super easy. I mean, it's comfortable enough. I never really had any issues with it. I'm personally the player that I don't tighten it all the way up under myself. Like, it's there, but it's loose enough that I can just pull my mask off. So I really never undo the strap when I have a mask. Now, other people are very different. They unhook it and rehook it every point that they're coming on off the field. So I think the push is probably going to win on that one.
I do unhook it and hook it every time because I like it tighter, because 9 out of 10 points I'm going to be diving and I just like to feel more secure. So the push has a really nice strap. You can get this separately, and so you could throw it on an i5 if that was your only factor that was stopping you from getting an i5. But it has a very nice buckle. It's actually magnetic, so you would slide off, which is very easily done with one hand, and then to get it back on, you can just get it close and it latches together.
I would like to do something on that.
I've never had any problems with it coming off.
So as far as me just straight tugging on this, it's not coming off. And then, was it you push the button or you just lift this guy?
You slide. So you just slide it off. Very easy to do with one hand. So it's also on the underside of it, it's got this kind of form-fitted material that's branded in Sandana, because Sandana. And it feels very nice. It's kind of almost a memory foam material that's inside of it. And being someone that does wear it tighter across my chin, feels great.
That makes it cozy. This guy is really just here to keep this from pulling at your beard hair.
That and just...
You can take it off and it's got Velcro. And
this kind of material just can get agitating at times.
It can, especially if it's a hot, sticky day.
Yeah. So next up, ears.
Ears. So to me, it looks like the ears are just all one part of the mask, right? No, you can change them out.
There are separate parts of the mask. It actually splits up into like 5 or 6 different pieces. Can't remember off the top of my head, but it splits into a decent amount of pieces.
Sounds complex.
It is, but it's easy. Once you do it once, it's easy to do again. You kind of got the ears, which are actually kind of 2 different pieces. You have the lower piece of the ear and then the higher piece of the ear. Lower piece is a real malleable rubber, and then the upper piece is a little bit of a harder rubber, but that's mainly because you have so much more behind the mask, like your lens actually clips in there and stuff. I've never had problems with my ears like hurting or anything like that, and quite honestly, it feels great when I'm wearing it.
For the Dye i5, these ears are a little more of your traditional kind of soft-ish ear. I'll call it soft-ish because they're pretty rigid right now. There is a little bit of a pad on the inside that would kind of go against your cheek, but it doesn't take too terribly long for these things to wear out, because I mean, as you're stretching this over and put it on your head and then kind of fold this way or that way, I don't think it took much more than about a year for the bottoms of mine to start kind of folding and curling in. And if you were to see them now, it's a pretty harsh curl. You will probably end up replacing these ears multiple times over the lifespan of your Dye i5 mask. But I mean, they serve a purpose. It is relatively hard and somewhat padded material on the outside, so if you do get shot in the ear or bunkered out in the side of the head, it won't be the worst experience. It won't be nearly as bad as the old soft ears with the JT Proflexes, but I would honestly give the ears winner to the push. Plus, it's just I feel like it's more customizable with the push as well.
It is. They're not gonna wear on you unless you like do something really bad and end up like ripping the rubber, which I've never heard of.
That's on you. We can't help you on that.
It's not gonna wear out. I've worn mine a year straight playing.
You played 6 tournaments this year.
I played 6 tournaments, but multiple divisions in those tournaments.
That's true.
So I played a ton this year, wore it every day at practice, and my ears are, well, other than being a little paint stained, are like new.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna have them curl in or anything like that.
Nope.
So they're always gonna feel the same.
So I think one of the last things we're gonna hit here is I'm gonna say lenses and ease of changing the lenses.
Yeah.
So as far as the lenses go, I think a lot of the dye colors really come out nice. I think they do look great. From having used mine, now here's the thing. I am plagued with masks and lenses. Anytime I get a new mask or put a new lens in, and Keegan so kindly just changed my lenses on my Vio 2. We have another video about how to do that. I always drop them on rocks immediately, like before I even put it on. Like I'll just be carrying it at my side, and so I will always end up with some kind of scratch pretty much from day one. But as far as general play and wear and getting shot in the face, things like that, I don't think the dye lens wore away too terribly quickly. I don't think it was as bad. I know a lot of the V-Force lenses are known for scratching ridiculously easily. I wouldn't say I had quite that problem with the dye lens. I don't really have an issue with the dye lenses, and they come out looking pretty nice.
Yeah.
So as far as the colors on the pushes,
there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
The pushes, by far, if you're wanting different colored lenses, different lenses that you haven't seen on many masks before, the push is the way to go. You have the gradient lenses that are phenomenal. I use the gradient lenses now because I can have clear lens on the bottom where I'm actually looking out of, and then smoke on the top, then that's where the sun's coming in. They have tons of different options when it comes to lenses. However, the one thing that I will say, they are the most expensive lenses on the market, unfortunately, coming in at $64.95. So there are other lenses that are right around the $60 mark, but it's $5 more for a push lens.
right.
As for how strong they are and stuff, I've really actually never had problems with mine getting bad scratched or anything like that. I think part of that is the factor that I have this real nice fitted case that I'm not just chucking my goggle system into my gear bag. I'm putting it in a nice case, and it's preventing it from getting damaged.
No.
I've never seen anything on the field damage my lens.
Now I will. Okay, so I will add. I typically wear like the mirrored lenses like this. You typically wear either HD or clear. I don't think I've seen you wear a mirrored lens. I actually kind of think that mirrored lenses scratch easier, or like it's easier to notice that. So I wonder how different my experience would be if I only used an HD lens for a year compared to what I've been doing.
Well, I think the reason is there's kind of a film on them for that like mirror material. I believe that it's a film. In the comments, correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe it's just a film, and that film can get scratched a lot easier, and so...
That sounds like a video idea, Keegan.
Yeah, can be.
So then let's go over ease of changing the lenses. So it's been a minute since I've done that with i5s, but I believe it's just that you push down on this tab first, and then it's something like these guys get pulled back and folded in. Not terribly difficult. You have to push kind of hard on some things, but from a complexity standpoint, I mean, it's pretty easy to figure out. But as far as the pushes go, I know we also just recently released a video on how to change your push lenses.
If you're interested in it, head over to that video after you're done watching this video.
So from a complexity standpoint, I would say that these aren't quite, not that the pushes are like rocket science, but I would say these are a little easier to change the lenses is the dye mask.
Honestly, I'm not exactly sure how the dye ones work, but the push ones are super simple. It's just a couple clips And other than that, it's just real easy to just swap out your lens. It's not going to be something like JT ProFlex where you're trying to
Borderline breaking your
pick
frames.
and pull. And yeah, the first time I changed mine, I thought I was going to snap the frames. It turns out I wasn't going to. But it's not something like that where it's a big pain. Both of them are fairly easy.
Yeah.
I've never done the dye i5 lenses, so I'm going to have to give it to the push.
So if I'm talking overall aesthetics, this is something that is purely opinion. I have said from day one, friends of mine can confirm, I have never really thought the pushes are that attractive. The more colors and designs they start to release, I know Keegan's got the Ghost, which is the old infamous one.
Oh yeah.
I do actually think that's pretty sweet, but in general, I actually think that the dye mask and like dye products are better looking than pushes.
I would disagree. It is opinionated. I'm not huge on how the i5s look. They kind of look like a, what's that one bird? A pelican. They just come to such a point on the mask.
The old joke with the i4s used to be they made you look like an ant, which is pretty true. The i4s were little.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm not huge on how they look. They're just too sharp for me, and there's too many triangles in them. The pushes,
too many shapes.
yeah, the pushes are just classic. They're probably my top for looks. If I'm going for strictly looks, the push is my number one choice, hands down.
He's allowed to be wrong sometimes.
A lot of people would agree with me, including Joel. And they just look really good. Now you have to have a certain kind of head to be able to pull them off as well as I do, but they just look really good.
All right, well,
Doug's a hater.
yes, that is true. So in the end, you're going to buy what you feel is best for you.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you have a store near you or if you have someone that you play with a lot who has one of these, try one. Go spin it for a couple points, see how it feels. That's really the best way to make the most informed decision, but either way, neither one of these is going to be a bad purchase, and there is something out there for everybody. Keegan had one more thing to add about his push mask.
So on the pushes, this has never been seen on any other mask. There is a little screw hole right on the nose bridge that is used so that you can insert that handy dandy tool that they gave you, and you can turn it whichever way you want to, depending on if you want the nose bridge to be closer to your face or if you want it to be further away. So there is adjustability. And the other thing that I would say with adjustability is you can actually get extenders for them, so that if it's not covering your chin entirely, you can just get an extender, and it adds another, I think it's like an inch or so to the bottom of it. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do with them.
Now, as far as price point goes, what are we talking here?
Price point, so you're looking around the 190 to 220-ish price point for the pushes, just depending on what colorway you go.
And then the Dye i5 comes in at 190. So, I mean, pretty comparable in terms of how much they're going to cost. With push, their range is wider because they have so many different custom builds and stuff.
Yeah, it's like the infamous ones are going to cost more. If you went with like, they actually make a base model black one without the case, and all the fancy stuff on them, like the strap. Other than that, they just make a base model black one with a clear lens for $150. So there is
that is a very price competitive option for push, and it's still the real McCoy. It's a real push.
Yeah.
You just, if you want a case, if you want lenses that aren't a clear lens, you have to buy those separately.
It's really just the case and then
and the strap is different.
The strap, and so that's the only things, and you can buy the straps separately. And so it just has, it doesn't have any of the additives to the push and what makes it a push.
A premium level kind of mask.
So if you guys like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one.